Ranjani. Welcome to the Travel Coach.
Thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be here.
I'm so happy you're here. So, if you would like to introduce yourself before starting so people can get to know you and what you do.
I am Crunch and I'm originally from Singapore. I am currently a digital nomad, so I travel the world. I'm right now based in Jalapa, Veracruz, Mexico. And I'm a conversion copywriter and content creator for change makers and entrepreneurs who want to make an impact with the money and influence that they have in their business. So I specialize in repurposing content for them and writing long form content like articles and blogs. And that's what helps me kind of fund my travels around the world.
Yeah, that's amazing. We're going to talk about that because it's been a story, right? And I know, I'm sure that,
Yeah.
yeah, as a digital nomad, you must have lots of travel stories to share. But if I ask you which one is the most transformational one, what would you answer?
I think the most transformational one, or the one that has been pivotal in my life, was probably the first solo trip that I did. This was back, I don't know, 10, 11 years ago, 12 years ago. I'm dating myself, but that was in 2011 when I went on exchange to Portugal as part of my university program. I had the opportunity to go to Portugal and study abroad for one semester. And after the semester ended, I decided to spend a month traveling around, backpacking around Europe by myself. And it was an exciting and amazing experience for me to be alone by myself and like traveling around and visiting so many new countries and like meeting with a lot of new people. I used couch surfing a lot at that time. I don't know if your viewers know what couch surfing is. It's kind of
Yeah.
like it puts locals in touch with travelers and you kind of like get to meet a lot of local people. So I learned a lot about the local cultures and like met so many cool people and I really just fell in love with traveling and I decided like, oh my God, I want to do this for the rest of my life.
That's amazing because we are talking, I don't know, how old were you approximately? Were you in your early
I was
20s
21
or
years old when I
21?
started, when I did
Yeah.
the exchange program.
So from Singapore, right, to Portugal, to Europe, maybe it was your first time you were in Europe at that
Yeah.
time, yeah? And you had this exchange, and then you took the opportunity to backpack around. And I
Hmm.
suppose also as a solo female, we are talking about more than 10 years ago, was everything different. So I don't know if you had any, fears or you were just so excited that you didn't even care
I
about
think at
any.
that time I was just so excited and so just like the opportunity, like I mean, coming from Singapore, like I'd lived with my parents up till that point, and like I'd never like lived by myself. It's not like coming from an Asian culture, we don't have this tradition of like the kids going out on their own when they're 16 or 18 years old to live in a rented apartment by themselves. So I had no sense of like independence until that trip. And what I really learned from that trip was that like I'm capable. I'm completely able to take care of myself. I can, handle difficult situations. I can navigate foreign countries. I can, make my way around and, just kind of, it gave me the sense that a sense of confidence in my own capabilities and abilities. And I'm just so grateful for that opportunity. But yeah, I guess like looking back, I should have been a little bit more concerned for my safety, but at that point I was just not. It wasn't even
Yes,
like it didn't
young
cross my
age.
mind.
Maybe
Yeah,
your
you're young,
parents
you
were
think
more
it's
worried than you.
probably, yeah.
Did you have so you said that you visited different countries in Europe. Is there any experience, any country that especially, was a turning point and or was in general the experience altogether?
I don't think I can pinpoint like any one particular experience. It was just like the whole month that I spent backpacking was amazing. Like I almost exclusively stayed with couch surfers and I was just floored at their kindness, their openness, their willingness to invite a complete stranger into their homes and into their lives and like to treat you as part of like their family or, um, to just treat you as a friend that they've known for years and you've like literally just met them like 3 hours ago.
Yeah.
And it really like gave me the sense that people aren't really that different. And this is something that I found like in the last 8 years of traveling. So after that exchange experience, I wanted to see more of the world, and then I went to travel after I graduated university. Start traveling in South America and Latin America and the rest of Asia. And what I've consistently found is that people are so kind and open and willing to help other people. And really, like, I think if you're starting to lose faith in humanity, go on a trip and your faith in humanity will be restored, because, like, really, even when you are in the worst circumstances, there will be some kind angels who will appear to help you, to be kind to you, and you will be moved to tears by their kindness.
Wow, that's so beautiful. And I love you had this experience in different countries, right? Because it's like you didn't feel maybe the barrier of the language at some point that you felt, oh my God, I cannot understand, we cannot understand each other. Maybe the people you went, they spoke English. I'm not sure if you had this experience.
I did actually. Well, I guess, yeah. I speak Spanish, so in Spanish-speaking
Okay.
countries, it has been easier. But definitely, like, I've been to other countries where I don't speak the language. But somehow, when both parties have the intention to communicate, communication happens. And I mean, right now, talking about right now, if you're traveling, I mean, you have your mobile phones, you have Google Translate, you key something. It even has like a voice feature, so you can even talk to people who, if they don't know how to read and write, like, you can record their voice and it translates it for you. So there's so many tools these days that make it so much easier. But I think, like, with determination and persistence, you can communicate even with people that you don't share a language with. I mean, a couple of years ago, I was in Turkey, and I had a conversation with like 3 or 4 older ladies. They were maybe in like their 50s, and I don't speak a word of Turkish, but somehow we had a conversation.
Yeah.
And it was
Technology has
great.
improved a lot, yeah, since then. Amazing.
Hmm.
So you said that you felt much more confident, that your self-confidence improved after this
Hmm.
experience around Europe as well in your early 20s. What happened when you went back to Singapore, to you went back home? What was different? What changed for you?
It's definitely like when you come back from a big trip, whether it's a month or like a year or longer, I feel like every time you come back from a big trip, you find that you have changed, but maybe the people around you haven't. And sometimes that can be a huge shock to your system, because you feel like you've grown so much as a person. Like, oh no, I know these, I have these skills, I have these experiences, and you know so much about yourself. And then you go back and it feels like nothing has changed. And that can be kind of a shock to your system. So I want to like give a word of advice to anybody who's embarking on a long trip. Like, be prepared for that. I wish somebody had told me that I would feel different, but nobody else would, see me differently. So that's something that you have to be mentally prepared for, and maybe also like acknowledge that to yourself, and just kind of be patient with everybody when you come back, and
Yeah,
know that, yeah, things will be different.
yeah. This is interesting what you said, right? Because for some people, this happens. They are different. They experience all this, but then they are back to the familiar. They are back to the old habits, routines, patterns, and they just it's like moving backwards. Yeah, they allow
Hmm.
themselves to move backwards because they are not taking this, this motivation or this to move forward and do something different and to change something. And I suppose
Hmm.
that here's where you decided to move, right? To move, to take one plane ticket to another country. Tell me about this as well.
Yeah, so when I came back from exchange, and I found that, like, my life had been changed by travel, and I realized that this is something that I really wanted to do and I really loved doing, and I was just gonna find a way to do it. So but I was in university at the time, so I completed my university, and then I realized I was broke. I had no money to travel, so I got a job, like a really high-paying job, that I think a lot of people would be like, well, when I quit my job after a year working there, a lot of people were like, "What's wrong with you? You're crazy. Like, why would you leave this job that's paying you $4,000 as a fresh graduate out of university? Why would you leave this job and, like, jump into the unknown and go and travel the world? I mean, the world's still going to be there after you make $100 million." But for me, it was never really about the money. I just needed like enough money for me to start my travels. So I bought a flight ticket, like a one-way ticket to Buenos Aires, Argentina. And I told people like, I'll be back when my money runs out. And that didn't happen for a year. So I spent a year like backpacking around South America. And yeah, I had so many great experiences there as
So,
well.
so you quit your job, right? After university, you had a great paid, high paid job, and you said, "This is not the life I want." What did you feel? What was the, why travel? Why Buenos Aires? What was in your mind by then?
Why travel? Well, because why not? For me, it was just like something that I really wanted to do, and I wanted to see how people on the other side of the world lived, and that's why I picked Buenos Aires. Like, it was a place that was about as far away as I could get from Singapore. Literally, I looked at the map and like, where's Singapore? What's as far away as I can get? Okay, Buenos Aires looks great. Let's go.
Wow, like that,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, that was pretty much my thinking at that time.
Awesome, awesome. So you arrived there again. Did you? I don't know. You had the support of your family. People were saying you were crazy. How did you overcome all this, noise or the obstacles or the fears of the unknown or, fear to regret? Anything of this happened to you?
Yeah, I was definitely scared. Like, I would be lying if I said that I wasn't completely terrified before like left. And I kept asking myself like, what happens? Like, what do I do if I get into an accident, or like, what do I do if you know something goes terribly wrong, or like I get robbed, or like all of these terrible situations were like playing through my mind. But I just sat down and like wrote out like, okay, so if this happens, what am I gonna do? And if this happens, what am I gonna do? And if this happens, what am I gonna do? And that kind of helped to lessen my fears, because I figured like, okay, I know what I'm gonna do. Like, things might go wrong, but I will have a backup plan and I will know what to do if something goes terribly wrong. And I am very lucky because I do know that I had the support of my family. Like, if anything had gone like horribly, horribly wrong, I know that I could have turned back to my family, and not a lot of people have that support. So I'm very grateful for that support. But luckily, I didn't ever have to rely on my family for any backup. And so I think like having a network helps if you are planning to do something drastic like that. But also like have faith in your own abilities to problem solve. I think we sometimes can in our daily lives like get so comfortable that we feel like anything slightly different will put us into a place of really not being able to survive. But actually humans are incredibly resilient and we're very good at problem solving. So I think you just have to like trust that you will be able to solve any problems that come your way, and just take that leap of faith.
Yeah, oh, I love that. So you arrived to Buenos Aires, right? And of course, you had your savings, and you said, when I run out of money, I will come back. What happened there? You did, you look around South America. Did you compare with Europe? Was similar? Was different? How was the experience um, in South America for you?
South America was completely different, like from Europe, and different from I think just about anywhere else I'd been. The culture is so like Latino culture is very open and warm and welcoming. So I was invited into so many people's families, and like I attended so many people's like family events, like baptisms and birthday parties and that kind of stuff. So that was an experience that I wasn't expecting. And I think this is something that's very unique to Latin American culture, is that people are so willing to just like open their homes to you and open their hearts to you. And actually, one time I was in the Dominican Republic and I was robbed of everything, like my baggage, my luggage, my passport even. And I had like $20 to my name, $20 and no way to get more money because I had no identification. And this very kind lady, she worked as a cleaner in a restaurant, like she was washing dishes in a restaurant. And she invited me into her home to stay with her because she knew that I had been robbed and I had no money. And
Wow.
like she lived in a home with like the rest of her family and her kids, and like there wasn't really much space, but they gave me like the master bedroom, and like they were so warm and open, and I was just I mean, it was one of the worst times of my life, but I was also just blown away by how kind she was and how generous she was, despite not having very much at all to start with. You know, like she's a dishwasher. I'm sure she doesn't make like big bucks, but she was so willing to invite a stranger into her home and care for me when I needed it. So this is something that I found time and time again in Latin America, and I'm sure like everywhere in the world you would find people like this.
Yeah, lots of gratitude, right? For these people that are, you call them earlier, that like angels that are there in the right time to help you, right? And you
Yeah.
need them when you need them. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So, did you run over money and did you have to go back home, or what happened?
I did run out of money at some point, and when I ran out of money, I started like I was just about to run out of money, and I decided like, okay, I need to find a way to continue traveling. So I did a TEFL, teaching English as a foreign language course online to get a certification and find a job as an English teacher in Costa Rica. So I arrived in Costa Rica and like withdrew the last $200 that I had, and you know, that was what I had to make things work, and I managed to make it work. And from there, like I also started like writing content for business owners, and that's where I kind of like transitioned into the business that I have today, which is a content creation business, where I help small business owners write content for their websites and stuff. But yeah, I did run out of money, but I also found a way to solve it, right? So I think you just have to want something desperately enough and you'll find a way to make it work.
To find it, yeah, to find a solution. So you had to find a way to survive, but then now you're making a living of, and that allows you to be traveling, right? And be location free.
Absolutely.
And since then, where did you have lived or moved, or what countries have you been?
Wow, that's a really big question. I mean, in my life, I've been to 50 countries. So yeah, it's a long list. I have lived and worked in places like Costa Rica, Panama, Thailand. I currently live in Mexico, and I only foresee this happening or continuing in the future. I mean, I'm quite happy here right now in Mexico, but I mean, the world is huge. There's so many places, incredible locations to discover. And I feel like every time I go on a trip, I learn something new about myself or like the people. And for me, it's just been a whole, like travel for me is really a process of discovery and getting to know myself better. and yeah, I just love it. So
that's actually what I do. So you describe it very well. Yeah, it's travel for self-discovery. What did you learn about yourself?
Oh, what have I learned about myself? So many things. And I think it's also like taught me patience. For example, like coming from Singapore, Singapore is a very efficient country. Like everything works, you know, people are efficient. Like you go to the supermarket and you don't have to wait in a long line. You just go to the self-checkout counter and you bag your own stuff and you're out there in 5 minutes. And then coming to like Mexico, where things aren't so efficient, like, you know, you might go to the bus stop and like the bus schedule says like the bus is coming at 3 p.m., but you're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting and it's 4:30 and it's still not there. You know, so it really teaches you patience, being adaptable and being flexible. Like things never go according to plan, you know, like you might have a plan to work in the morning and then or go on a hike in the morning and then work in the afternoon, but then it starts raining and then you can't go on your hike, so you switch your plans up or something like that. So I think like travel has taught me so much. And I think like the biggest thing that I've learned about myself is that I have to trust myself. I think just as women as well, like society is always telling us like, you're not very good at doing like taking care of yourself. You need a man. You need like, it's a patriarchal society, right? Like we're always taught that like the men are in charge and like the men know what to do and stuff like that. But traveling on my own has given me the sense that like I'm independent. I can take care of myself. I don't need anybody. And if I want to be in the company of somebody else, it's because I see some value in that relationship, not because like I need them in my life, you know. So approach, I think that's been a big a big thing that I've learned about myself.
Oh my God, guys, that's amazing. That's wow, your life is an adventure, right? You never know what will happen tomorrow. That's so fun. If you have any tips or advices, if some people listening, they wish to have this lifestyle, they would like to, is there any, tips or where should they start? How they can overcome the fears? What would you tell them?
I think now's actually like a great time to explore a remote lifestyle if that's something that you're interested or curious about. Like, because of the pandemic, like a lot of people have switched to working online. And, if you're working from your home, there's no reason why your home couldn't be somewhere else, or, that you can't take your office with you to the beach or to the mountain or wherever it is. Because, I mean, if you're working from your computer, it doesn't matter where your computer is. Right. So I think this is a good time to explore that if that's something that you've been interested in. But definitely like have a backup plan. I'm in a few groups on Facebook for like digital nomads, and sometimes I see people posting in there like, I'm going to quit my job and like try to figure out how to become a digital nomad. I think that might be a bit ambitious. So have a plan of how you're going to do it before you do it. Yeah, I mean, and be open to opportunities, when opportunity presents itself, like maybe don't ask why and just try it. You might not know like what comes out of it. It might not be like immediately something that you like, but it could lead in the future to something else that works for you.
Yeah. And you said something very important because, some people teach, or some coaches even teach, yes, just jump the cliff, you will figure it out. No, well, sometimes yes, but you suppose the fear is so strong that you will maybe panic, right? And then it's just not a situation that you want to see yourself there. So it's good to have a plan and follow.
Yeah, it's definitely about balance, like take the leap, but also have a parachute.
Exactly. Yeah, that's very clever advice. Thanks for that. Crunch, you know that I love collecting hidden gems from all around the world. And I would like to ask you if you can share with us, where is, from the place you call home? I know it's going to be difficult, but wherever you call home, what would you recommend us to visit?
Okay, so right now I would call Jalapa, Veracruz, my home. And here I think a hidden gem is the hike to the waterfall La Granada. I want to say like 45, it's a 45-minute, maybe like in the next city over. It's a very small pueblo, a small town nearby. You can go there and then you can take like an hour hike to get to this beautiful waterfall. And I don't think a lot of people know about this hike. So if you're into hiking, that's something that I would recommend. And it's a great way to like be in nature and like see some of the beautiful landscape that's around here. It's not a popular waterfall. There are a couple of waterfalls around here that are really popular and very touristy, but this one is kind of like you said, a hidden gem. So I would recommend that. And because I'm also like a huge food lover, I would recommend that if you're in Jalapa, make a little trip to a town 15 kilometers away from Jalapa called Naulinco and try their mole, which is a sauce. I don't even know how to explain it, but it's a really good dish. So go to Naulinco and try the mole.
Wow, definitely we will check this out, Crimes. Thank you very much. Last but not
Thank
least,
you
as
so
we're
much.
finishing today, I have a last question for you. If somebody who's listening wants to contact you, wants to know more about you and what you do, what's the best way to contact you?
You can follow me on Instagram. My handle is at CrunchTini. It's like a martini, but crunch. Or you can check out my website, crunchranjani.com. I have some cool things on there, some blogs. I have information for small business owners who are looking to create content. I also recently launched Simplify Content Planning, which is a content planning framework for you to help create ideas on, your social media posting schedule. And that's available on my website as well. I'm happy to offer a 30% discount to listeners of the podcast. You just use the code EASY30 to get 30% off at checkout. So that's available to anybody who needs help. And I would be very thrilled to connect with your listeners.
That's amazing. Thank you for the generosity and very needed work, definitely. Thank you,
Thank you so
Crunch.
much.
It's been a pleasure to have you on board the Travel Coach today.
Likewise, it's been such an honor to share my story and to be on this platform. Thank you so much for creating this space for us.
Thank you, Crunch, and everybody tuning in. Happy and safe travels. Bye for now.